Welcome to lesson 2 of Road to the Isles workshop. There's a link below with all the information of this tune workshop, but let's get rolling here. We've already done lesson 1, the first little bit. Now we're going to tackle the next little bit of the first line of the tune. So we ended off on that D throw. From that D, we got to drop down to low A. You can get there with an E grace note, which I'll talk about in a minute, but if you're not doing grace notes with transitions, you're just simply going to go to that low A position by raising up the pinky and dropping down the 3 fingers of the bottom hand. So that's not too bad of a transition. Now if you want to get there with that E grace note, it's going to be the bottom finger of the top hand. So that bottom finger of the top hand has to lift. You do your transition to low A position with the bottom hand, then the top hand's bottom finger comes down. That's kind of the slow motion version. So let's just play together what we got so far. And then after we go down that low A, as you heard, I did that burl. If burls are new to you, you don't want to tackle them just yet. You can just do a single tap or a strike with the pinky finger. Or here's the non-embellished version. So you just drop down to that low A and then give it a tap. And if you want to do a burl, a couple ways to do it. One way, a little bit tougher than a single tap, but it gives you more of a burl sound. It's an acceptable way to do it, is a double tap with that pinky finger. So you just tap it twice, a quick double tap. And a note on the double tap, don't raise up the pinky really far in between, it'll make it too slow. That's too slow. It's almost got to sound like da-dun. So you just bring that pinky up just a little bit off the hole and then tap again right away. So that's more the sound we're looking for. Or if you want to do a burl the way I do it, I keep my finger quite straight. I swipe it down across the hole and then I pull it back up across the hole. So I swipe down once across the hole, up for twice across the hole. And when I pull it up, I kind of curl it. So down straight, up curled, and I curl that end joint of the pinky, and that's what allows me to catch that hole the second time that much quicker. And to help your pinky slide a little bit on the chanter, you can get a little bit of forehead grease or in around behind the ear, a little bit of grease there that'll just help it slide that much quicker. So that's the way I do the burl. So whatever way you do, you've got a few options there to meet you where your piping's at. So let's play what we got so far. So that's what we got so far. We're going to add just a little bit more onto this lesson. Not too much more. I don't want your brain to explode, but a little bit more here. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, pause the video, work on what we did already with that E grace note and burl. And if you're ready to roll, let's keep rolling. And again, the workshop link is just below, so definitely check that out if you'd like. So from here, we're on low A. We're going to pop up to D again. We can get there with a grace note. So if you want to get there with that G grace note, you can by lifting the top finger of the top hand first, transition up to D, which we've done before from low A in this tune, and then bring that top finger down. And if you're not doing grace notes with transitions yet, then you just simply transition up from low A to D. Our next note, we're going to drop down to C. And we just do that by dropping down the top finger of the bottom hand. So that's the next part we're going to do here. If we're leave out those 2 grace notes for a second, this is what it'll sound like. So we've done the D, we've dropped down to the C. Our next note, we're just walking down the scale here. We're going to B, so we get there by dropping down the next finger of the bottom hand, and make sure you lift that pinky finger too. So we'll have 2 fingers down, 2 fingers up on that bottom hand. And we're not on that B very long before we drop right down to low G. Low G, we have to make sure we get both those fingers down on their holes. And that can be a challenge, especially if your fingers are still finding the holes to get that low G sound. If you only get a low A sound, probably that pinky isn't stretched wide enough down the chanter to grab that low A hole. So give that low hand pinky a little bit of grace. Give it some positive encouragement. It'll get there eventually. So let's talk about the grace notes now. So we got that G grace note up to the D. And then we have no grace notes down to the C. Then we have G grace note, top finger of the top hand down to that B, which remember we're not on that B very long. So we're not on that B very long. Top finger of the top hand, transition to the B, top finger comes down. And then like right away we go down to the low G. And to get to that low G, we're lifting up the bottom hand's top finger. We go down to the low G, and then that bottom hand's top finger comes down. So that's that movement there, and the grace note just before it is from C to B with the G grace note, top finger of the top hand. So that's a good place to pause the video and just work on that if you're really wanting to dive in and get your grace notes nice and crisp with your transitions. If you're not doing grace notes with transitions yet, don't worry about it. And that's as far as we're going in this lesson. If it was helpful, if you like Road to the Isles, maybe subscribe, give me a thumbs up, let me know. Feel free to check out that workshop link below the video for all the lessons on the workshop. And I'll just play through what we got so far. First, no embellishments, and then I'll do the embellished version after. There's what we got so far. No embellishments. Here's the embellishments. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy piping, and I'll see you in lesson 3.